Good morning, everybody. This is Zach Marzo with Melman Podcast.
David Melman.
David Melman is here. Special guest today is Michael Haynes with Bravo Custom Printing is what their Facebook says. But tell me, Mike, is it Bravo Printing Company, or how do you guys like to be, what's the name you want to go by?
Yeah, for the most part, we go by Bravo Custom Printing. We've
Okay,
got
cool.
a couple of different aspects of the company. We got a retail side that kind of tends to go by Bravo Tees, but
Nice.
Bravo Custom Printing.
And you guys have, we'll talk about this a little bit without, we're jumping right in, which is what we like to do. Is it 95 Clothing? Because I saw when I looked up, Facebook, and I saw 95clothing.com, I actually went to the site, and I was like, oh, this is cool. They have kind of the retail, the e-commerce side, Etsy shop, where you can do some custom printed stuff, but that's kind of like a, the side piece to Bravo Custom Printing, which is, I guess, you tell me, but in my mind, primarily just printing apparel for, any event or anybody that needs, apparel made. And it's not just T-shirts, which we talked about a little bit. So I'll stop talking. I'll let you jump in. Just, I'm curious where it started. You can even, start with what you do now, and then we can kind of go into how you got started and kick it off from there.
Yeah, okay. So first I'll kind of explain the web presences that you saw.
Sure.
So we kind of divide our company into the custom printing side, which is apparel for, like you said, events or social clubs or businesses or retail shops, that kind of thing. And then we also have our own direct retail, our e-commerce side that we run. So 95 Prints is one of them. We started primarily through Etsy, and we still have a large presence there. And as we kind of got into it, we realized that the designs and the cuts and the styles of shirts that we were offering kind of weren't blending together. We had a feel for more of a women's apparel and a men's apparel sports line type thing.
Okay.
So we kind of split them. And from then we kind of split from there off into events like weddings and things like that. So we have several Etsy shops going, and they're all geared towards one kind of genre
of apparel.
Clients.
Is it hard to because I think, people always like to, branch off and create separate brands within a brand. And I'm thinking that's so much more not social media marketing, but obviously you have these different brands you have to kind of promote. Is that hard, or do you guys just really promote more of Bravo, or do you have separate Instagrams for 95 Clothing or the Etsy shop? How do you do that with your business? Is it all one? Because I'm thinking, we have Melman Podcast as one brand, Melman Law Group as another brand for what we do every day. But I'm just thinking more of man, if we had 3 or 4 brands under Melman Law Group, that's, you have to have the staff to be able to, put that content out there for each brand.
Yeah, and then keeping it straight.
Yeah, man,
it becomes
exactly.
difficult. Yeah,
Sure.
and when we run into that every 6 months, my partner and I will sit down and we'll look at that and try to streamline it and kind of back forward. But it always kind of ends up where it is now. And one thing, the tool that we use for our e-commerce is through Etsy, and they handle SEO from
nice.
Global reach through your Google and your other major search engines. They have a huge budget for that.
Wow.
And so they handle it. So we really find that we don't have to back end promote much of that. We focus our keywords and our SEO to feed through theirs to the rest of the world. So we kind of don't have to worry about branding and promoting those specific items as much. So we kind of just stick with the Bravo Custom Printing for the outreach, and getting into more of the business owner group circles and
makes
social
sense.
clubs and those types of things.
Etsy's a monthly subscription. How do you pay Etsy, or Etsy's a free platform? I don't even know.
Do they take a fee out of every transaction?
They take a fee out of every transaction,
Gotcha.
and then they also provide shipping, and they're now working into fees and structures of that. But it's free to get started. Of course. You only pay once you start selling and creating. So
nice. Yeah. I mean, anybody listening, obviously, just as a value add, people, you've heard of Etsy, but essentially if you have a product you want to create and sell, that's pretty cool that, you don't have to fork out a bunch of money. It just kind of comes off the back end.
Well, and just speaking to the strength of that, a lot of people that I speak to that are getting started, they specialize their mindset in making. They don't specialize in building a website and
distribution and everything.
Yeah, and I've dove into building a website 3 or 4 times, and it's a completely different language than I speak.
Yeah,
and
totally.
There's tools out there to make it easier, but there's services out there like Etsy and other platforms that have already nailed that down, and I think it's just a great way for makers to get in and get their products in front of people without having to completely reprogram their
Sure,
brain.
sure. So where do your, I guess, friends come into play with Bravo? Like, how did it start? Whose idea was it? And, I mean, did you think you were going to be at this point, today with doing apparel? Or it was kind of like, everybody wanted to have their own clothing line, right? And some people, that fades, and other people it sticks, which is really cool.
Well, and that's funny because that's kind of where it started. Bravo Custom Printing is 3 people at the moment. It's myself, my business partner, and our head of operations. And the 3 of us have known each other since we were 8 years old.
Cool.
And
Very cool.
I went off to school, and then my business partner and our head of operations actually transferred to a school that was right next to mine. So we ended up going through college together, renting
Nice.
houses and apartments together. And, and I think it was always that college joke, we should start a T-shirt line, and we're so funny,
Right.
and we could make $1 million doing this. And, it was always that kind of back and forth kind of joke. And
Right.
After I graduated college, I went to work for an accounting firm, and
Nice.
my partner was working in distribution for a large chemical company. And I saw an infomercial for the little UDO screen printing machine where you can screen print your own tote bags in your
Right.
kitchen kind of thing. And, it kind of made me laugh. And then I realized that I had no idea what it took to print a shirt. I just always thought it would be a cool thing to do. And so that just got me doing research, and I just dove into the process and the equipment and
All while you were working in accounting.
yeah, just kind of doing it,
Yeah, sure.
on
You have to.
your phone and on the laptop during breaks and at home and watching TV. And
Sure.
so I kind of understood the process a little bit and started diving into, what would it take to get started. And my partner and I, both being numbers people, we just kind of dove into, how many shirts do you have to sell to make it worthwhile, and
Sure.
what's your break even point and all that fun stuff. And after kicking it around for a while, we went in and we bought a startup kit, put it in my garage, and started the long process of learning how to be good at screen printing. And it kind of started growing a little bit, and our first goal was to go out and do the rec departments and the churches and the 5Ks and that kind of thing. And then it kind of just broke down to creating our own designs and putting them online and let people find them. And then it kind of built from there, and that part of the business really took off. And
Sure. Do you guys design the actual shirt, polo, like zippers, this, that, and the other? Or do you find really cool quality stuff and then you guys specialize in actually printing on that material or that piece of apparel, I guess, if that makes sense?
Right, and kind of what we were talking about earlier between being a maker versus a web designer, it's the same thing.
Right.
We put all of our energy into the design,
Sure.
And printing an application.
Nice.
For as far as creating and finding new materials and the best way to piece them together, and that's a whole another
Right.
art form.
Exactly.
And
Sure.
so we
Cool.
we focus on the application and the
Nice.
design.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you want to, with Melman Law Group, David always says, you focus on what you're good at, what your bread and butter is. You don't want to do everything, and, a bunch of stuff if it's half-assed, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, for us, we handle 99% of what we do is one thing, because that's what we want to be good at. And then we let other people kind of handle what they're good at.
That's exactly
Right.
Yep.
And we'll call and ask about different things, but if we focus on one thing, we're good at one thing. Some people love to improve on their weaknesses. I'm not going to waste my time on that. I'm going to build my strengths and surround people around me that are my weaknesses, and then they can do what they need to do.
Which
Right.
nobody saw, but David was trying to figure out why his microphone wasn't working, which
Yeah.
was really my fault because it was just a simple knob that I had to turn up. But
Yeah.
again, he's not going to spend 9 hours in here learning how to get this going. He just does what he does best.
You guys focus on what you're really good at. Explain to me, garage starter kit, getting it going. Who created the contacts to get the wholesale distribution?
Yeah.
And how many trial and errors did you go through to find the company to get the equipment from and the products from? That makes it very interesting in my mind. Finding the company where every cent off can be huge in your numbers.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and a lot of those, every time you get to take a percent off and a point off, comes with volume. And so when you're starting off,
Sure.
there's a lot of pennies added back to the pot that you
Right.
haven't got to whittle away from yet. So we first started, when you look back at how you got started and then where you are now, a lot of it's just funny. But we found this website of wholesale distribution shirts, and they didn't require financials and line of credit and all that to get started with. You could just sign up and They would deliver shirts to you.
Right.
And at the time, they seemed like a good place to source T-shirts from. Knowing what we know now,
Right.
it was really just an offshoot of the guy that we still buy shirts from. They just had a borderline retail front, and that's who we purchased from. So we started off with what we knew. We knew kind of inexpensive 100% cotton shirts, and so that's where we started. That's what we started printing on, and then we started designing do what you know, and we knew sports stuff. So we started designing sports team shirts, and trying to sell things to men on Etsy is an uphill battle that you'll never win.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. So once we realized that we weren't selling to men, then everything completely changed. We changed the way we designed. We changed the shirts we looked at, and then that search led us to the next distributor, and then the next distributor, and then we're still always finding new people to source from. But it kind of led into that, and then once you get a little bit of a sales background and some things you can lean on, then you can apply for the larger distributors and to get in with them. And then
you have to apply for them, right? Pretty much.
You have to apply for them.
You need a certain quantity to get in?
Not necessarily, but you do have to prove that you're going to pay your invoices. So you have to have a little bit of a
You don't
history.
prepay? You pay after? Or
Well, up front you have to prepay when you get started.
Got it.
And then after a while, once you build a reputation,
Okay,
then
credit
they'll get
line.
you on. Yeah, then they'll get you on 30-day credits or 60-day credits.
fair enough, right? Not 30 and 60.
Yeah. So we kind of got in through it that way.
It's funny because before I did the Melman Law Group, I was working at an international religious travel company, and I was going to do a polo business to create custom polos, and I bought the domain and everything. And I thought my strategy was going to be this: 30 seconds. Churches are everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. You know, cold call. If you're really good at it, you can do it. But to get a pastor on the phone or somebody and that can give you an answer and be the right person. And I thought thousands of churches or whatever, custom print, spend $20-$30. You look at their logo, do their logo, and mail it to them, right? You're going to spend money on SEO. You're going to spend money on everything, right? Mail out 1,000 shirts. Cost you $20,000, let's say, right? 10% are interested. Other people just got the shirt. They're cool.
Right.
And then I always thought, like, imagine if 10% actually called you back to get their whole thing going. And then maybe you can offer a 10% back donation to the church. And that was my strategy to it at the time, to give back. I don't know, it's just interesting. So much you could do with it.
Yeah. And they're really, and that's kind of,
Yeah.
that's the lure of the business.
Yeah, especially if you can give something back. But there's markets everywhere, I'm sure. But when you're looking at markets, what do you look for? You look at a church. When we did international travel, we looked at mega churches, quantity. Who's going there? Is it a small, medium, or large size church? So are you want to attack the small ones that give you multiple transactions, or would you rather hit it big with one for one big transaction? So what do you prefer?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's interesting. When I got your emails about coming and doing this, I started thinking about, what is our marketing strategy?
Yeah, right.
And, I always feel like we look at marketing backwards from most people. And I think most people, because every time I talk to somebody that's in marketing, they always almost sell me on strategies of get in front of 1 million people.
Right.
And like you said, out of 1 million people, you'll talk to 10%. Out of 10%, you'll get 5%. And then you'll eventually sell to 2% of the people.
Right.
So go talk to 1 million people, get 20,000 clients. Well, in our business, the way that we've structured things and the way we handle production, we find that out of even the 2% that you're going to get work from, it's not really the work that we're the best at. And so when we build the picture of what's our ideal customer, a lot of times it's retail stores looking to carry their own spin, not necessarily create their own brand, but they want to create their own feel inside their store. Or like you said, churches are a great group. Churches I've found to be pretty tough to nail down, where if you're going to mega churches, a lot of those people already have purchasers, and those purchasers are out beating the pavement to find the best deal. And
Right.
And that's not necessarily a market I want to get into
Right.
either. What we strive to do is we don't ever strive to be the cheapest guy in town. I never have, and I don't ever plan on doing it. What I strive to do is find somebody that's really good at what they want to do, and they want to add apparel to it, whether it be for resale or just to brand themselves or to put uniforms on their own employees, but they don't want to spend time thinking about it.
Right.
Those are the people that I want, because I come from a customer service background. My partner does as well. That's what we're really good at, is taking that off their plate. I mean, I'm looking at the pullovers you guys have. You could spend 3 hours looking for those and never find them.
Right.
Or you could just send to somebody and say, these are the 3 things I'm looking for. Take care of it.
Right.
And that's the service that we want to provide. So yes, we are really good at printing and we're really good at embroidery, but customer service is what I want to sell. So looking at mega churches who have purchasers, a lot of those, they already have somebody to take care of the headache end on their side. So they're just looking for the best purchase, the best buy.
Right.
And I don't want to be that person.
Right.
So I like finding middle level churches or smaller churches that just don't want to deal with the headache. They have a vision of what they want, but then they just don't want to hear about it again. They just want the box to show up at their door.
Right.
And then, like I said, then we really like to work with our retail partners. Same reason. They're really good at setting up their shop, getting people in the door. They really don't want to worry about everything else. And so that's kind of the level that we try to provide in there is just
peace of mind.
Over-servicing people.
Yeah. My question to that, though, is if you can't get in the door, how do you sell that?
Well, and
because that's a great thing, and which keeps you separate than anything else, right? But how do they know about that if you can't get in the door sometimes?
Right. And so, and that it's always a hurdle, and it always will be.
For sure.
The thing that you said about make them a shirt with their logo on it and put it in front of them, that's been one of our best strategies.
Has it? Interesting. Yeah.
Instead of putting myself
right.
in a huge advertising pool and hoping I catch their eye, we work backwards and design what's the ultimate customer look like? What's the area that I want to work inside of? Because a lot of times, we don't offer free deliveries or hand deliveries or anything like that, but I do want to know that that's a capability.
Right.
If they call me up, like for instance, Monday night as I was packing up to leave the office, I got a call from somebody and they said, I completely forgot about this event. Got to have it by Saturday. And the nearest Polo that I can find is a 2-day ship away. So I know in my mind I'm driving up an hour away to go deliver
Making
it on
it
Friday.
work. Heck yeah.
But that's because that's the service that we offer.
Game changer.
So when we're looking at customers, I like to build that base of someone that fits the model that we want in the region that we want, and then I'll put something in front of them. And because like you said, a lot of times it's tough to, instead of starting at $1 million, if you're starting at 10,
right,
you can't afford to only get 1% of those.
Right.
You got to get 50% of those to make it work.
Right.
And so it is a lot tougher to get in front of the right people and to ask for their time. And so a lot of times free samples is one of the best things that we can offer. I feel that our quality is above our competition, so I like to just put it in their hands.
Sure.
And then with a handwritten note that says, here's my contact information. And another thing that I always try to do is just to be really accessible. So, Instagram, Facebook, that's all fine and great. Everybody just wants to text message. So
that's true.
I'll give you my cell phone number right up front, and whether we've done business or not before, send me a text message. Do it at your leisure, at your time, whenever you can afford.
I'm sure that's pretty cool too. You put that on a handwritten card. Text me. Like, that's cool. I have direct access to the guy that makes all the decisions. That's awesome.
It's incredible. He said handwritten note. You hear that, guys?
I
love it.
Sign it because nobody can. I can't even read my writing.
No, it's amazing because we got a letter last week from a client at the law firm. And it was an older lady, sweet lady, and she hand wrote a note. And I'm thinking, old school customer service touch. Like the lady didn't leave a review, which is awesome. We love reviews. But she hand wrote us, put a stamp on a letter, and mailed it to us. I mean, opening it is amazing, right? And you have to have the human factor. That's where you guys come in. Right. You create the human factor, and it's a game changer to people that can appreciate it, right? So your market is to people that can appreciate it. Because the ones that are just looking at the bottom line only, that's not your market, right?
Right.
Why waste your time with it? And then the cool thing about your business is you're hitting potential business owners or people that make decisions, and typically those kind of people know others, right? And then it's word of mouth, and it spreads like a disease, which is a good disease, right? I love that, in a good way. And that's where you can gradually grow, and make sure the foundation is strong. You don't want to bite off more than you can chew either, I'm sure.
Right, and that's exactly right. The word of mouth is
game changer,
huge,
yeah,
and like I said, over-servicing people who don't have the time and who acknowledge that they don't have the time to handle those things. Like you said, they know 10 other people that think and act just like they do, and they're also probably my prime candidate for
amazing.
A customer as well.
With that kind of plan, do you ever not take business in if the number is too small? I hate to say that on the camera, but if it's like you guys are oiled machine, but then somebody refers you somebody, but it's only like a very small order, what do you do then?
Well, I mean, a lot of times we look at it on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
If all of your biggest customers, people that always place large orders and large quantities, every now and then they're going to come to you with an order that's tough to fulfill, something that's
Sure.
But you know, that's part of the service end of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we fit it in. Now it's kind of known up front where if it's a 12-piece order and the week is booked with 100-piece orders, you know, it might get pushed.
Sure.
But that's just part of the upfront understanding that you have to reach with whoever calls in.
And I only asked that because Gary Vee had an article a few months ago. I don't know if you follow Gary Vee, author, everything. I mean, entrepreneur. And he said in his wine library, there was a purchase of a case of wine. There were $12 bottles of wine. Maybe it was a $150 order. But he researched the person that bought it, saw they were a sports fan, bought that person a jersey, right?
Yeah, I heard
and
about
that's
this
it,
story.
right? Bought him a jersey. Next thing you know, that person knows somebody who does not buy $12 bottles of wine. They buy $2,000 bottles of wine. They get a case of that, over a $20,000 order. And then in that order, they left a note saying, by the way, I like this player. And then Gary realized where it came from. The small attack to the order of like, it was incredible to think of it, you know, where every client matters. And in our world, doesn't matter how big or small the case is, we treat all of our clients the same. That's why I asked you that question, because you never know what door they can open.
Well, and that's true. And
you know,
we're located in a really small town.
Sure.
And, you know, everybody knows everybody. So I don't think that I've ever turned down work.
Sure.
for
And not to
size.
put you on the spot, it's just it's an interesting question, because some people, like, they think they get too big, and then they're like, they forget about what started them.
That's
And
right.
that sucks. I hate hearing that, because you cannot forget about what started you. Doesn't mean you're too big to do anything. Set up your team to be successful, to still handle what started you.
Well, and you know, and,
Right.
and that's a strategy that we kind of took that I think is a little bit different than other printing companies.
Sure.
Is our most recent move was to, it's not prime commercial space, but it does have walk-in. It's in a strip center.
Okay.
So we do get people that just kind of pop in, weren't
Great.
thinking about ordering. And the number one thing I get asked from people off the street is, well, I want one shirt and I want my niece's photo on it and I want it by tomorrow.
Right.
That is the exact opposite of
Sure.
what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But when we moved into the area, one of the first things I did was I recognized that people come in and it says printing in my title. So they want business cards, they want banners, and that's not really our strong suit.
Right.
Sure.
So I realized that I'm not the only one that happened to. So I went to everybody in the area that had printing in the name of their title or something like that. And I just drove up, introduced myself, and I said, you know, I'm sure you offer services that I don't. I expect that I do that. I offer services that you don't.
Right.
And just started that conversation. So when people do come in and they want a one-piece order that would be really difficult for us to fulfill or really expensive for us to
Right.
fulfill, I at least have somebody to refer them to.
That's great.
And vice versa. A lot of people, whoever we use to do our digital printing, same thing. When somebody calls them and says, well, I need 100 T-shirts, you don't want to turn the customer away. So you at least have somebody to refer to, or they at least know how to work
Yeah.
through me to get the job done.
That shows you care about the customer.
That's right. Well,
You
'cause
know?
that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, always. You know, your neighbor that's doing the same thing you're doing might have 7 orders backed up, and then they get a big order. They don't want to turn that person down, but that turns into an opportunity for you to maybe get 100 or 200 orders where you could have had the time to do it.
Absolutely.
And it's just your competition isn't only your competition. You can leverage your competition in a way to become friends and work together when necessary. Doesn't mean it's just like people think competition, I gotta you can work together, and I'm big on that. Work together, work smart. Because you guys are always like, people are being combative. I guess, I don't know, you don't have to think your competition is your enemy.
You don't always
You
have
know,
to be adversarial. 'Cause-
Yeah.
and in the apparel industry, there's a bunch of different sectors of it.
Right.
But screen printing is our mainstay. That's our bread and butter. And inside screen printing, there's probably 8 different business models.
Right.
And so we're in this tiny town. There's 3 or 4 screen printers in this tiny town.
Wow.
Doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
The true fact of the matter is that there's market segments for each one. And our competition tends to build their walls high and thick. But
Sure.
the truth of the matter is, I realize that I'm not really going after the same customers they are. So it doesn't bother me. And like you said, if I had spillover work or if they had spillover work,
Yeah.
I wouldn't think twice about offering or receiving jobs from them.
But most people don't think like that.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. Most people don't.
And
it's great you
would agree
do.
with that.
Where did your Mike, your customer service background, like you said, like myself, David, and I won't speak for him, but I worked in restaurants, bars, in the as customer service as it gets is waiting a table, right? But what about you yourself? Where did that mindset develop when you were younger? Parents, school? You said that was your background.
Definitely my parents. My mother has had her own accounting firm since I think she was 17.
Wow, cool.
And when we moved to the location where I grew up in Homer, Georgia, her office was located in the back room of the house. And so it was common for me to come home from school and there'd be clients there,
sure,
and customers there.
Sure.
And so there really was never like a defining line between customer and family. That's just kind of the way it was. And,
Interesting.
As her business grew and she moved to a different location, the way she handles her customers has never changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always around that a lot and grew up, taking note that that's kind of the way things should be done.
Mm-hmm.
And when I graduated from college, I graduated with a construction degree.
Nice.
I graduated in 2009 when there was no construction to be found anywhere.
Sure.
So I went and worked at my mother's accounting firm.
Sure.
And, you think you're close with people, but you're really close with the people who watch your money. And I learned that quickly being somebody's accountant, that really close, tight-knit kind of, you want to be thinking the same way. Sure. and the same things and the same goals. That just kind of became second nature.
And it's in your blood.
Right.
You saw it growing up as a child, and it's in your blood. And Zach talked about the restaurant business and bartending. We went to high school together. And he moved to Charlotte. I lived in Charlotte for a couple of years also, and we worked at some pizza restaurant. It was an Italian restaurant. His brother owns it, and we worked together. And I saw the level of service he provided to the customer, no matter if it was a 35-cent side of ranch or not. Right? It doesn't matter what the price of the service is. It's the level of service you provide.
Right.
And I saw it, and I saw talent, and we still kept in touch when I moved to Atlanta. And I thought, where can I get talent from, right? You go on LinkedIn, you go on Indeed. And then I looked at my Rolodex of people that I know, and I'm like, Zach, we still stay in touch, take a shot and move to Atlanta, and let's crush this market, give the best customer service ever. Right? My wife is the founder of the firm. I run operations there. He's business development. I couldn't do it without my team, right? There's more than just Zach and myself, my whole team too. But I thought, let's structure it, right? Who can I trust? Who can provide a level of service second to none? And then I think the person that delivered the 35-cent ranches, as I did too, in a hurry to make sure that they would have it before the pizza got cold to dip it in.
Yeah. Right.
Literally like running out of the kitchen.
Remember that?
For some idiot's ranch. I'm like, your ranch is not that important.
But
it was.
Attention to detail was the game changer.
For $5 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, differentiating customer service between levels of customer, that's when it starts to degrade. That's when it all starts to fall apart, right? Mm-hmm. You have to approach each customer as the same. And,
have to.
And like I said, I try to be accessible to my customers. Anybody that has my business card has my cell phone.
Sure.
So I try to, anybody that I've ever dealt with or may deal with in the future, whether it's for 12 shirts or 1,200, we try to provide that same level of accessibility and
Sure.
care for each piece.
There's online places to get things, but why call that number, be put on hold, and ask for an account number when you have somebody sitting right here,
right,
that is accessible, will make it happen for you. And if it's a big favor you need in a timely manner and they can make it happen, they will. Instead of somebody giving you an email, I'm sorry, the order cannot be fulfilled, please try again. You have somebody sitting right here on anything you need.
Well, and let's be honest. I mean, if you were to Google Bravo Custom Printing, the top ad space on Google is still going to be Vistaprint.
Sure.
Or Custom Ink or whatever.
Right,
so, I mean, there's 1,000 people out there that you can buy T-shirts from. Mm-hmm. And, again, I don't ever try to really directly compete with them or to change that. What I do try to do is create or to find our own space in the market and then just over-service
All you need is a little space. That's the thing. People
right.
think they have to have the whole pie.
That's right.
And then it gets sloppy. Take your space. You know what your space is, and work your ass off in that space.
That's right. And just and
You know?
do it better than anybody else next to you.
That's it.
Yep.
You know?
If you don't have like, there's, let's say, orders are slowing down, or not even that, but you're looking for your next order. Are you guys, how are you, like, is that doing some research, trying to find an organization or a business you think, hey, if you guys ever are doing a corporate retreat or you need t-shirts made or this or that, like our cold calling or cold emailing, whatever it is, what are you guys doing, I guess, to try to develop new business? Or is word of mouth so good that it's just kind of, you're maintaining off of that alone?
Well, knock on wood, word of mouth in the past 2 years has been really good for us.
That's awesome.
In general, though, if there ever is downtime, but I do exactly what you said. I narrowed down and I said, well, today, for instance, a few months ago, it was churches. So I went down and I figured out what was the size church that I wanted to approach. And I grew up in the area that we're in currently, so I know the area fairly well. And so I just looked at the list of all the local churches, and in my mind, selected the ones that I knew were in the size that I was looking for. And then expanded a little bit and kind of went out on ledges and guesses about which one fits into that box. And then just
reached out.
Yep, and then just reach out and make phone calls. And
that's right. Which a lot of people don't want to do it. See, it's not hard. It's not hard to make a phone call. It is hard, but it's physically not hard. You dial the number and you're on the other end of the phone. But talking to them, and there's a lot to be said with kids now. Like you said, everybody wants to text. But, you're never going to, like, lock down an account or develop a relationship just simply off of, like, a text message back and forth, you know?
And that's right. And first off, sales has never been my thing. I'm really, I'm really uncomfortable doing it, and I have to push myself to do it. So, like you said, the phone call, like the last number, and then pushing the green button.
It's
I'm going
scary.
in. I'm going in.
We had an episode, Sales Arbiter. Watch it. It's cool. They specialize in cold calling.
Yeah.
It's Wendy's husband, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Or,
It's interesting.
Yeah. It's not easy.
No,
nobody likes
really isn't.
being no. It's like being at a bar or in high school or a date or whatever, and like
fear
approaching somebody, fear of rejection,
right?
Whether it's a date or business or anything. But I guess if you can get over that mentality, it's a game changer. But if that's not you, that's not you.
Well, but the thing is, like I said, our strength is service, right? And you just said it a second ago. You can't create a relationship through an email or through an online form. A person's voice on the phone, even if it's a text message, you can build a relationship that way. And it's the relationship that I'm looking for. Like I said, we try to service every customer the same, but my bread and butter isn't the person that's going to order once a year or once a lifetime.
Right.
Our bread and butter is someone who's going to order once a month, once every other week.
Right.
And to have that relationship where they know that they don't have to go through the same process when they go online and redesign the shirt or click the,
For sure.
Somebody that can send me a text message and says, this is the size breakdown, do this shirt like we did before. And then that, and
done.
So that's the level of trust that we try to build. And that's where we thrive, I think.
Yeah. And that's where you're going to you're going to be different than others.
Right.
The key is for them to see that, because you can be the best at what you do, right? And even in law, you can have the best lawyers in the world, right? The best. But if you can't market, no one's going to see you.
Or talk to people.
Right.
No one's going to see you. You can't talk to people, you're done. Because the worst lawyers that can market are going to take your business.
Yeah.
Because they never had a chance to see you.
Well, and I guess that's why sometimes I feel like we market backwards, because I'm kind of okay with not being seen by everyone. All right, we like to find our narrow niche. And I find that a lot of times, without sounding too crass, our competition does a lot of marketing for us. Our competition's really, our industry is known for not being the most reliable, being fairly inconsistent. And so I kind of approach people that I'm sure are already printing. They're already running large orders or frequent orders.
Right.
All I do is go up to them and offer them a change. There's an alternative to the headaches that you currently are facing.
Right.
And a lot of times that does the marketing for me, is that they know what they want to avoid, and I'm just providing them an alternative. And so really my hurdle is just to get the first order. After I've got the first order, I can keep them because I'm going to provide them service that they've never experienced in that market. And so a lot of times the tough part is just finding the person that I can convert to our customer.
Yeah,
because they're somebody's
That's the sale. Gotta get the first sale. Yep. Then it's your job to keep it.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we always say if we can get somebody on the phone, we're good. But getting them to actually get on the phone is the hard part.
But you can talk to other people that already have businesses. We
right.
we can, which is awesome. Because if people are represented in accidents, we legally can't talk to them.
Gotcha.
So because we don't break any rules. It's amazing that other businesses exist because I couldn't even imagine the level of savagery that would occur.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, that's like a tamed animal here. But no, we love what we do every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for you because once you get the sale, it's your job to keep it.
That's right.
Don't even like a relationship. You get the person, you have to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just stop because you got the person.
That's right.
Maintain it. How would you get the person, right? So same thing with the business relationship. There's no difference. Nurture it, take care of it, follow up with it.
Yep.
That's it.
Absolutely.
It's not complicated.
That's right.
But for some reason, it is for a lot of people.
Well, I think it's easy to get wrapped up in just being the on the hunt for the sale, and then not maintaining the back end.
Mm-hmm.
I think like I said, the sales end is new to me, so I know once I've got them, I can focus on the service because it comes more natural.
For sure. I love it.
And is just the three of you guys? You have any other employees that are like in the storefront type of thing, or just you guys
it's just
rocking and rolling? That's nice. I mean, small enough where you guys are all on the same page because more people, more headaches. Just from my experience of being in businesses, because managing people is obviously a whole nother issue. And
I'm sure it's true in all businesses, but in apparel, we look at quality control really closely. It's one of those, it takes you years to build your reputation and seconds to screw it up.
Right.
It's the same thing with printing. If you hand somebody a box with their name printed at an angle or the wrong colors, or
hole in the armpit or something.
Right.
Attention to detail.
So that quality control is always a challenge when you start to scale.
Mm-hmm.
And being a 3-man shop, the three of us are bought in completely, and so the trust on quality control is definitely there.
That's huge.
It's easy to maintain.
Yeah, you keep it where it's efficient, it gets done. You don't have many distractions.
That's right.
You avoid distractions, but you guys hold it down, and once you get even busier and busier, you do whatever you want to bring more on.
Right.
It starts with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4.
Yep.
And it depends on what you want. Maybe you don't want a whole empire with 1,000 people. Doesn't matter. You want peace of mind, maybe.
Right.
So you're married, family, maybe, and you enjoy your life, and that's it. You take care of your core, your team, 3 of you guys, and then you come home and have a good life at home. Work-life balance.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
Totally. I mean, anybody that, is out there listening to this, obviously, Mike's running an awesome business with, his 2 partners or his other partner and head of operations. And, if you're looking for anything that's printed, or you have a go-to already, but the service just isn't there, or the personal touch, obviously, you know who to reach out to, or if it's now or even in the future. That's what's really cool about getting to know, people and what they do. And what I always hear, the 20 some odd episodes we've had so far, like it really comes all back down to like customer service. No one talks about like, there's a bunch of other things that are important, but at the end of the day, I think, customer service is just everything. Everything.
I agree.
Everything.
But you can't get off of that.
Yeah.
I feel like we're in an age where we're getting off of that, and it's the customer comes first. And, it's a scene from Casino in the end, and they come in there in the end, everything's torn down, but now they're asking for your social, your photo ID and all that. Before you walk in there, they'll get your drink ready and your sandwich ready because they know you. They know the customer, know your customer. Mm-hmm. And it seems like not only do you know your customer, you nurture them and you make sure, they're happy.
Right. You don't walk into some places and you almost feel like you're bothering them, and you're like, I'm just trying to,
Good for you. It's nice to see that it's still around.
Right.
Yeah. It's refreshing, honestly.
Well, and we try to look at our customers, especially those who are using our products for resale.
Mm-hmm.
We try to align them in a mentality of more like a partnership. Mm-hmm. And when I say that to them, a lot of times I kind of get that kind of the strange eyes going. But the truth of the matter is that they can't sell more if they're focused on the printing end.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if they'll go sell more, I'll print it for them. And the more they sell, the more I get to print. So I like to think that, everything we do, we align in parallels.
It does.
Our interests are the same.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, it aligns with what we do too. I mean, we're a team. Literally, our clients and our firm, we're working together. So it's kind of cool that we use that same, it's the truth, but we use the same line of we're in this together. Like what's best for you is best for us. What's best for us is best for you.
For sure.
It's perfect.
But no, I really appreciate you coming on, Michael.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
It was great having you. It's been a while. It's been months since we've had somebody on since, whatever's going on out there. But we're going to rock and roll with more of these in the near future. We got a couple lined up this week. And I really appreciate your time coming all the way out here to get this going.
Yeah, likewise, awesome. We appreciate, you taking the time, sharing. This will be, your information will obviously be out there when we post this. And, maybe somebody will connect, and anybody else out there that's, a local business owner or wants to, chat about business and share, reach out, to the channel. Melman Podcast is, here just for community purposes. I mean, we don't charge anybody. We're not making money. It's just basically spreading the word, community, essentially. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Cool.